Hey there, before we jump into this episode, if you're a busy individual, you have a lot on your plate, and you just really want to do the right stuff on your fitness journey to be the best version of yourself, we're actually looking to take on 3 people right now to show you absolutely have what it takes and get you guaranteed results over the next 90 days. The main reason is because we know there's so much misinformation out there. I know a lot of people, whether you have kids, a busy job, and just a lot on the go, you can waste so much time doing the wrong stuff, thinking you need to be doing a million things. And I want to show you how easy it is and how possible it is by giving you my guaranteed results program for a paid price, which I promise you is 100% affordable, and we guarantee our results. That's how confident we are to be able to help you. So if you're looking to take advantage of this, message us on Instagram with the keyword shift worker. Our Instagram is colossusfit, colossusfit. I can't wait to help you out. Now into the episode.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all, Happy podcast. I'm your coach and host, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach, KG, and I'm in the house.
We have an incredible episode planned for you today, so thank you for tuning in and joining us over at the Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast. And I'm going to kick this off with our first question. I'm super busy with work and sometimes my hours change. Often I'm out of the house 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and I'm struggling to find time for myself. What tips would you recommend to help me out?
So this is a fantastic question, and it's something we absolutely specialize in, especially because, as you know, Josh and myself have been doing one-on-one coaching for close to 10 years. So we have seen literally everything from someone who's not working at all, people in school, people who work 16-hour days, who have just so many different things. And the best part about what we do is we can take a full deep dive into someone's situation and give them tangible tips to make changes. So once again, we've seen it all. And I think my first thing that I would recommend is just to really time block and see where all your time is going. I know it may sound simple, and some people will say they've done it, but they've never actually taken out a piece of pen and paper, or they've never actually put into their calendar. And even myself, like there's times where I think I'm crazy busy, and I realize I would scroll reels for like half an hour or whatever it is and just do like a lot of pointless things that aren't exactly moving me forward. And it's easy to be like, oh man, I had so much going on. And once again, nothing wrong to have a bit of downtime and enjoy all that stuff. But I really do think that when you take a full look at your entire calendar and try to see where you can squeeze stuff in, it makes such a big difference. And even past that, it's something that people may not want to hear, but when you make it a priority, it completely changes. If you're on this journey, you just want to be a bit better and you kind of have this goal, and you'll show up whenever you feel like it, it's going to be very challenging. And even when I first got this question, I thought of immediately about 75 of our different clients in the past, like the ones that we consistently share. Some of them that have been in our program in the past, ones that are still absolutely crushing it, because we see it all. We see clients sharing their stories and texting us, 4:45 a.m. workouts, they do whatever it takes to get it done. And the main reason is it's because it's a priority. So obviously being out of the house all day, having a family, doing everything that is challenging will be hard. But when you make it a priority, you'll do whatever it takes to get there. And I really want to get you to think about that, because I know for a fact that when it's a priority, there's no way you're going to fail. And it's something I want you to think about for sure.
Yeah, Kyle nailed it. And one thing that really helped me was like, what time to yourself do you need? And really prioritize what that is. And it's real easy, I think, even for myself, sometimes after a lot, I'm like, I just want to sit down, have quiet time, and just relax. And naturally your mind goes to like TV or YouTube videos or scrolling or whatever it is. But it's like, what actually nourishes you? And I've been trying to evaluate like what break I need, because oftentimes people will want like 6 hours just to zone out, watch movies, and really step back. And that can be fun. But sometimes all you need is like a little short break to go on a walk. Or even in one audiobook I was listening, he said, if you want a break, take a 30-second break. Like just stop doing everything, breathe, take a second to yourself. And as outlandish as that sounds, I actually find that to be quite helpful to myself. I'll take a meditation break. I'll do all these different things. So even if you have the most egregious schedule, and I think anyone who has a very busy load will argue that their schedule is the worst and it's impossible and there's no solutions here, but you'll be able to find times through these breaks that will actually build you up. help you feel better. So taking that time to enjoy something for yourself, something that will actually make you feel better versus bring you down. Because as I mentioned, it's real easy to say, I'm so overwhelmed, I'm going to eat my feelings back. Then you eat this food, you feel miserable for eating too much, you wasted money. The next day you're like, my diet's blown this week shot, I'm going to keep doing that. And you end up putting yourself in this worse feeling because you were feeling busy and overwhelmed. So I find like what actually is going to make you feel better, it's going to help nourish you and it's going to push you forward. This could also just be getting coffee with a friend, spending more time with people. Like you need to know what energizes you. Maybe you just like to be by yourself and to be away from people and do some art. That's cool too. Like whatever truly inspires you, even going out for a ride is something I enjoy, listening to an audiobook. Like there's a lot of opportunity here to make more time for yourself. And I know I took a different angle on this, but like it's really easy to say, hey, we all have the 7 days, same 7 days in a week. And it's funny too, even one of our buddies who's a trainer says he'll say that to his clients, but he has no kids. He doesn't necessarily have like a big family yet or anything like that. So it's easy for that to be mistaken because it's easy then for me to say, wait till you have 2 kids, buddy. It's going to be ridiculous. But like I said, that trump card, someone will always have a bigger trump card than you. And there will always be someone who has it worse, who's getting more done. And I think you really just need to be truthful and work within your situation. And one thing I love to do is a time audit. Spend the entire day just mapping out every single thing you do. In the morning, I woke up at this time. I was on my phone for 30 minutes. I went and I wasn't sure what to wear for 30 minutes. And like you'll kind of realize like where you're spending your time. You might be like, oh my gosh, I scrolled on my phone for 5 hours. It's uncomfortable to see, but if every morning too, I see a pattern, it takes me 30 minutes to pick up my clothes in the morning. This isn't something I struggle with, but in this hypothetical, let's use it. I might be able to get ahead of that the night before by laying out my clothes. And you can start to see how you can find solutions within your schedule. And this is something I help my clients with because it's real easy to like not think creatively about our own situations and accept them as status quo. But there are very actionable solutions. And there's a lot of way to save time when you're being really honest with it. So I just want to take some different stances there. And those are my answers for that.
So well said. It got me thinking about a couple other things. And it really just reminds me that when you are very busy, I think most people are like in some way or another. I think maybe different parts of your life you will be. Some people may be on a break from a job and like not as busy, or, you know, before you have a kid, you may not be, whatever the situation is. But I think we all are to a certain degree. And it really makes a big difference when you get rid of all the fluff, especially if you're just on the go, you have a lot of work going on. And just for this specific example, like you don't have that extra time to be just spending hours doing different things that aren't going to actually move you forward. And that's why I think it's so important that someone who is on the go like this, and that's why we created this promo for the shift worker, is that you do the most important things that's going to move you forward. So essentially, you know, the 80-20 principle, when you think about it, you do 20% of the work that's going to give you 80% of the results. And I find most people are spending time maybe just wasting it, right? Maybe it's doing something like a class that's not exactly going to help you progress, or you're focused so much on going out for a walk, which I think is great, but then you're not paying attention to your nutrition. And so a lot of people spend too much time even trying to figure it out and researching and struggling. And it's very hard. And that's why we want to give you just a full-on one-on-one approach to say, hey, your life is busy. Let us take care of the guesswork. We got you, and we'll 100% take care of you there. So once again, send us a message, shift worker. Even as long as you have a lot going on and you just want everything customized for you and simplified, this is for you. Now, one other thing I wanted to mention as well is try to find ways to fit it in. And what I mean by this is like, I often look for ways to squeeze all this stuff in with people that I want to spend time with. So this won't change whether I have 1 kid or 6 kids or whatever goes on down the road. If I want to go meet up with a family member, like I really encourage you to try new things, to try to encourage people, because I think it's so easy to just be like, oh, like Josh said, you know, put your feet up, think you need a break to watch TV, or just do all these things that aren't exactly moving you forward. Once again, it's nice to appreciate that stuff, but go for an hour-long walk. When I have someone I want to catch up with and I say, hey, you want to go for a walk? It's a beautiful day. Let's go to the waterfront. So you can fit it in. It's just a matter of looking for that and not making excuses and making it a priority.
Yeah, everyone I know who's too busy and they'll wear it as a crown. Like it's almost insulting. Like even if you think of yourself and you tell someone, hey, I'm too busy, sorry. It's basically just saying like, you're not a priority, or this isn't a priority. If you're too busy for the gym, it's not a priority. If you're too busy to see your friends, they're not a priority. You can go all day, and it sucks to hear. It's uncomfortable to hear, but I'm going to give you some tough love. And like Kyle said, that's where like having a coach is so valuable, because having someone to kick you in the pants and say, hey, wake up. You're sleeping into 10 a.m. Every night you're scrolling on your phone for 5 hours. We just did this time audit. You have time to get to the gym. We need to get this done earlier. And being realistic about it. If you're not a morning person, you're not a morning person, but it's finding the creative solutions within your situation. Everyone's situation is always different. Even if you have the most granola, like 9 to 5 thing, and you put your kids to bed, like everyone has little nuances to it and little opportunities to where they can still see success. And like my advice to one person will be so different than the other because you really have to know their specific situation. And especially with setting schedules as a previous personal trainer, I'd really get to know like people's habits and provide good solutions. And I can assure you, no matter what you have going on, you can get it done. It's out there. And we'd love to help you with it one-on-one, especially if you're a shift worker, because it can feel like you're working all the time. But as you start to take care of your body more, you'll actually find you have more energy. And you'll find you're not wasting money on quick fixes that'll make you feel better for 2 seconds. That'll bring you down, like extra food delivery, alcohol, things like this that aren't actually going to be permanent solutions or just mindlessly shopping. By actually investing in yourself, you will have more energy, you'll have more vigor, and you'll have more capacity to take on more. It's just about building better habits. So we're really passionate about that one. I think that was a phenomenal question. And I'm actually going to transition right into my quote because I think it's so applicable and I'm just really excited to share it. And my quote is your will to win on sale? And this is from Ed Milet. When I heard that, I went, oh, it was amazing because they were talking about entrepreneurship. He did a podcast with Andy Frisella. And he had mentioned how it took him 10 years to make any money. They lived in their supplement store they had. And during this entire time, they would work odd jobs at night and pool their money together. And it was funny, like me and Kyle started doing this in university. Like I was in school, we both worked jobs, we hustled, and we're like, we're still getting this done. Like this is going to be something we're going to do. We're going to help people. And we believed in it. And it didn't come quick. I thought it would. I really had the belief that like just overnight it'd blow up. I'd have the world's biggest YouTube video channel and I wouldn't be able to like, I'd be getting so much requests for help. I wouldn't even be able to do it. But it took time. And like, that's the reality. And like over that time, like there's temptations that will draw you from it. And a lot of people, and when you think of that graveyard analogy of like a graveyard is a place where a lot of people have their dreams to die. And I even just heard like how at bars, you'll hear men, like I was watching this old, I know I'm on a crazy tangent here, but I was watching this Napoleon Dynamite. It's like this funny, stupid movie that came out probably in the 90s, early 2000s. I can't remember, but I watched it as a kid. But I was rewatching a clip of Uncle Rico talking about how everything would have been different if the coach had put him in to play quarterback in the second half of the game, because he would have went to the NFL. He would have been rich. His life would have been so crazy. He would have had like this super successful, amazing life. And like, even though it's probably positioned delusion, there's so many people that had these beliefs, other dreams that could have been, whether realistic or not, that they gave up on them. They sold them for something. And even dreams of like your fitness, it's easy to sell your goals of fitness for convenience or to put other placeholders in front of it to say, I can't be fit, I need to take care of my family. But when you challenge that notion, you say, my will to win is not for sale. I'm going to be an amazing father or mother. I'm still going to be amazingly fit. And I'm going to make sure I do both these at the best of my capacity. It's uncomfortable to do that, but like you got to stick to these guns. You got to stick to your will. And even with like your goals in life, like with entrepreneurship, like a lot of, I think, fantastic, amazing people will get bought out. They'll end up doing something they don't want to do because it's hard going through those positions of struggle. It's hard learning to be fit. It's hard dieting. It's hard doing these things, and it's easier to give that up. But if you have a will to win, don't let it be on sale. Go all into it. I know that was a little bit of a crazy tangent, but I think the point got across.
Yeah, honestly, it's just so many people like that second they can break or that second they're offered that whatever it is, it's just so easy to give in. And it's so important to just to stand your ground there and know exactly what you're working towards, what your mission is, right? So that was awesome. You know, my quote here is, it's better to be the oldest person in the weight room than the youngest in the nursing home. So I love this. I was scrolling my reels. I mean, I guilty as charged is at the end of the night. I was just going on a tangent. And what I think is great is that you can, like, obviously social media is tough. There's some things that is just, you're not really learning a whole lot, but and some are just entertaining. But I stopped across this one. I was like, oh, that's a great idea. A great thing that I came across. And, you know, especially for people who You may see different things with parents, grandparents, neighbors, whatever the case is. It's just, I'm kind of getting into it early as to one of the things that motivates me. But like, I think about these things, and obviously being young, it's not that normal to think about, because a lot of people are obviously focused on like, the next vacation that you're going on a beach, and like, maybe the wedding that's coming up or whatever is happening. Maybe you're having kids and you want to be the best version of yourself for them. Like, there's so many great motivators there, but I do try to pay attention to different things, and I really do try to think long term. I know it's easier said than done, but even I was working through goals with my client the other day, shout out Spencer. And, obviously he's really focused on long-term, and he thinks about this stuff pretty often as well. We're trying to find more short-term things to focus on that will motivate you like right now and right within the next 6 months to a year as well. But I think it's very easy to overlook this type of stuff. And I'm always paying attention to it, right? You see something go wrong, you think like, I want to be the strongest version of myself, whether it's like me being 29 years old right now, whether it's me being 70, in the future with like grandchildren, whatever the case is. Just thinking of that as motivation. It's not going to always get me up every day. I think I have more goals that are like going to inspire me to take action and hit the gym right now, but it's something that I think can be at the back of your head when you want to maybe take the easy road, or kind of like Josh was saying, you want to, maybe kind of let your will go up for sale or whatever it is. Like, you think of that long-term approach, it makes such a big difference. So that's something I think about here and there, and maybe it could inspire you, or at least it'll inspire you in the future for sure.
I love that quote, and it's funny, like, still obviously a lot of people would say we're really young, we're 29, but these are things I need to start thinking about, maximizing my longevity, being on top of it. And even now that we're at a gym where there are some people that are a little bit older, like, it seems like every person says, I'm old now, I can't do this, I can't do this. And then there's some people that have the absolute opposite, and they're just like, I'm cranking everything, I'm living my best life. And I think if you want to be in that position where you're aging and you're still living your best life, you're still progressing, like, you need to put in that work now when it's the easiest, when you're younger. And the truth is, there's never a perfect time. And like, even looking at the cycle of my life, there's a reason where I could have had excuses at any given point. Like, there always is a reason for an excuse. There's always something big in front of you: school, work, getting married, having kids, getting a crazy job, going through some kind of hardship. Like, there's always a barrier to say, oh, this isn't a good time, but it's just about taking action now. And that's really my only thought I have. Anything else you have?
Yeah, I was going to say it's time to stop being afraid to fail. I think it's something that holds a lot of us back. I know I talk a lot about it, but even myself, I have those thoughts here and there. Like the other day, we ran like a really cool car meet. So basically, long story short, about a month ago or around then, Josh and I met up with some friends with really cool cars, and it was a great time. We went out for a bite to eat, and we're like, man, there's not anything around our area where there's just like a lot of cool cars, cool people, where it's just like, it's usually not like that where we're at. You have to drive a little bit to get there, and we are part of another club that's about usually an hour away or so to get there. But anyways, it was a little bit nerve-wracking. I made a little brochure. I started sending it out, started telling everyone about it, and then like kind of leading up to it, there was quite a few people confirmed, but not really. Like, you know how people can be these days. And the 2 days prior, like the day before and then the morning of, I was sitting there, I was like afraid to fail. I was like, man, what if people don't show up? Like, I was nervous. Like, I was worried about failing because I hyped this thing up. I set this crazy thing that I thought would be just amazing, and I was worried. I was scared to fail. And so I had to catch myself. I said, what would be the worst thing that would happen right now if nobody showed up, if it was just me, Josh, and another friend? And I was just like, oh, maybe we'd enjoy a nice meal and have some great chats, and life goes on, right? And I think the question to ask yourself is, what's the worst thing that can happen if I fail? And when you answer it and you realize it's really not that big of a deal, it's like very small. Maybe your ego will be shattered. Maybe someone would laugh a little bit, but it's really not a big deal. And anyways, it was a great turnout. We had somewhere over $3 million worth of cars show up, and it was an amazing experience, and I'm very grateful and so happy it went well. But the main point I wanted to get across wasn't that. It's just like, don't be afraid to fail. If something feels uncomfortable, go for it. And it's just going to keep getting better and better. So I'm glad it was a great experience, and just wanted to share that with you as well.
Yeah, it was absolutely awesome. And I mean, that's it. It's just about, it's okay if things are messy, taking shots, getting after it, and taking action. So now we're also going to talk about someone who's been crushing it, who took action. Who do we have for our client shout out today?
So this week we have Kris with Coach Lauren. It almost seems like there's a new win shared in our chat almost every day from Lauren getting her wins from Kris, which is awesome. You know, Kris shows up consistently, and she's just done such an amazing job. She's sending form videos. Her every movement is just getting so much better. Not to mention, obviously, a lot of weight loss and overall fat loss while building muscle. She's just a completely different version of herself, and she's just consistently getting better. She's fully invested. She shows up. She asks questions. She's heavily involved. She listens and follows the plan. So I can't say enough great things about Kris, and especially from hearing Lauren talk about it and share all these wins. Absolutely incredible. And yeah, once again, this is someone who came in before, was struggling, wasn't sure the approach, and I really do believe that for most people, obviously accountability is huge, but just having the right plan for you based off of your situation, your lifestyle, your hours at work, how many kids you have, like the gym you go to, like everything needs to be created based off of that. And that's why I think so many people struggle, is because they don't have that. They're just following an approach that some bodybuilder posted or that their other coworker who has a completely different lifestyle follows. And when you have that person by your side as well as the right game plan, there's no way you will fail. So shout out to Kris. I know she's listening to this. And yeah, once again, message us. We're always here for you. We guarantee results. So there's literally no risk involved.
Yeah, it's been absolutely awesome seeing Kris crush it and continue to succeed. So once again, why not you? And you got to ask yourself this. You can't keep putting it off. It's time to see that change. Make that investment in yourself. And I assure you, it's going to just pay so many dividends with your confidence, with your finances, with everything. Like, you can't go wrong by investing in yourself. And that's why we're so passionate about it and why we've continued to do this since the start. So definitely want to challenge you with that. For our second question, what motivates you day to day? Well, that's pretty fitting. I know you've both been lifting over 10 years now, so curious how you continue to show up day after day. So even for me, like what motivates me, and even just reflecting back, I love just helping people, and I found fitness something I enjoyed. I didn't think it needed to be that hard. I thought there was a lot of nonsense, and I really dislike that it's a pretty predatory industry where people will really peddle supplements and quick fixes. And me and Kyle are constantly disgusted by what we see and really just not actually challenge people to see progress. So I love taking someone who's struggling and making them regain that confidence, regain their ability, really realize that this can be part of their life, gain more of their life, gain more energy in their life. And to me, like, that's the ultimate motivator. I know, like, that's more why I do what I do, but that transcends into what I do with myself. I think the best way to lead is by example. And I know if I'm helping people transform, it's really important for me to say, hey, I can do it. I can be an example. I can continue to win despite anything that happens in life, all these amazing different things that have come up, and to continue to navigate these unique situations and try to be better. I also really definitely would say I'm someone who's pretty addicted to like self-improvement. I really enjoy that challenge of it, and I like seeing what I'm capable of. I really appreciate feeling strong. I really appreciate feeling healthy. And I mentioned anytime I'm sick, like how much it really reminds me how I love how I walk around pain-free, how I'm able to still do a ton of activities, and even that concept that I really want to be able to do this long term. So even for me, as I've done amazing things aesthetically, and I'm really happy with all that, I've really done some performative, amazing things as well, like in terms of meets and physique shows and all these amazing things. Like even beginning to say, okay, like this is my last year, my 20s, like keeping longevity on the mind and really being able to perform, because I have people near me that are in their 70s, like two different people I can distinctly think of. And one, it's incredible. They go to the gym every day. They live their life. They're walking around amazing. The other can't really sit up or stand, is on a walker. Like it's quite a challenge. And it's, for me, it's like a very real reality. It's like, you need to get after it now. You need to make this time count. I know it's amazing. I enjoy it. I think I'm very fortunate that I'm able to be in the gym and do these amazing things and have access to these great gyms. So that's my answer there.
That was a great answer. I'm happy Josh answered it that way as well, starting with the work side of things as well, because yeah, it just honestly, I look back to any messages we get, like we get a lot from you guys, which is awesome. Any transformation, any client win, all of you on Instagram. So like, it's funny, a friend of mine recently, he said, man, I respect, he's like, you guys show up no matter what. It's like, just always, like anytime I open my feed, like you guys are there. And I was just like, and he was kind of asking me questions with it. I was just like, to me, it's just a non-negotiable. It's just like, I know what we need to do. We show up. We know that it impacts people, whether I'm like having a bad day or I'm not. Might impact a little bit here and there, but I really try to show up no matter what. And so obviously for that, knowing how many people, even if it's like one person that listens to this podcast that was like afraid of failing, if they can get something from it, I'm a happy man. Obviously we want more people to be inspired, but it's definitely something that allows us to keep showing up, whether I'm motivated or not. Like some people think, when we post or when we're sharing stuff or whatever, it's like, yeah, like I'm so pumped and I do really like it, but it's kind of like the journey, like fitness. It's like, you just got to show up no matter what and treat it like a non-negotiable. But I think obviously past the kind of longevity side of things, for me, I think a really big motivator that pushes me the most is having those smaller, like kind of goals that we've talked about recently, between maybe 90 days, so around 12 weeks to maybe half a year, where it's like in front of me, whether I've done marathons or powerlifting meets. Like it's always good cycles, because those are usually around like 6 months of solid, consistent training where I'm always focused and dialed in on that, physique shows, all that stuff that we've done. So I always get motivated off of that. But I think as I'm kind of changing in life now, is, I'm about to have my first little one. I think about that a lot now, especially being strong, being the best version of myself. Even just, I think my biggest motivator above all, though, is living life not to my full potential. And I heard this from David Goggins years back when I remember I was on a run, I was thinking about it, and basically he had said that often he would think about getting to his deathbed and they would have a list of all his accomplishments listed out, like everything he's done before. You get to the end and they say, hey, David Goggins, they call you up, they list everything out, and you're like, wait, that's not me. Like I didn't do any of that stuff. And so I thought about like everything that I want to accomplish, like be the absolute best version. Like when I get to the end, it's just like, you've done all this great stuff. You've inspired so many people. You've competed here. You built the most amount of muscle here. And just obviously while helping people along the way, I really just think about like how we have so much potential, and it's like very rarely that we use it. Like most people get to like 30% of their potential. They accept what's normal. They drink too much. They eat too much. They exercise too little. They don't take care of themselves. And I never want to be like that. So I just want to be able to look at myself as like, I've done everything I can to my absolute fullest and to the best of my ability, and hopefully inspire people along the way. So that's the biggest thing that motivates me. I think about it a lot, and it's a good reminder. Now I'm like fired up. I want to go out and do something even more, but that's going to be my answer for this one for sure.
And then last but not least, our final question for today is, what advice would you give to a new entrepreneur about pushing through self-doubt and growing a business? What kept you going? I kind of answered that indirectly with my last one, so I'll pass it over to Kyle.
Yeah, it's a great one. We actually got it as like a personal question from someone we know, which shout out, she's been crushing in our journey as well on fitness. But this is a great question. And honestly, I will say one of my first things is just like having people around you that you can talk to and relate to. Josh had such great feedback as well in his response. But for me, it's just like when you're on the journey alone, it can feel so lonely. You don't have people to look to. You don't have different things to kind of refer back to, and it just feels like it's yourself, and there's just no feedback, and it's hard. So obviously Josh and myself, having done this for over 12 years now, I guess, when we started YouTube, very fortunate to be able to go back and forth, and just like on those tougher days and all those times where I'm questioning, are we going to make it? Is it going to be worth it? Like there was a ton of self-doubt this entire time. I wouldn't say a lot, but there have been a lot of memorable moments where, and this was years ago, I just remember thinking like, I don't know, man, like I don't know if we can do it, and maybe it'd be a bad month or whatever the case is. And I think you just really have to have those people around you that you can talk to, you can support with, even just like connecting with people who are in the same industry who might have the same different kind of struggles, and maybe learn stuff from them, I really think is powerful. I think past that though, if you were to go a level deeper, having those people you can listen to. So Josh's example of that podcast, listening to Andy Frisella, talking to Ed Milet, I started listening to that this morning as well. It can teach you so much, because you can learn about other people's journey, because you look at it from the outside and you see this guy's got 15 cars, he's got everything built up, he crushed it, now he's got a massive business and everyone knows about it. But then it's just like, it wasn't always like that. And it's so easy to look from the outside. So when you have people that are by your side who can relate and give you tips, but also there's the other people such as biographies or maybe some books or movies on it, or especially podcasts and even their social media platforms, I think it's such a great way to just like have yourself be supported along the way. So that's going to be one of my biggest tips for that question. And just knowing the deeper purpose is going to be everything. So I know I talked a little bit about it as well, but I think we've always been stuck on the mission. We've always known what we want to do, why we want to do it. We're very clear on our vision. There'd be times where we wouldn't even make much, but we still knew, obviously you have to make money to survive. But even during those times, it was just like we had part-time jobs, we would do that and then still build the business. I think a lot of times people get in it for the wrong reason. So even in the fitness industry, the amount of people I know that think that they're going to start it because they want to become YouTube famous and they want to have a massive Instagram where they're viral and stuff like that. Like, there's no wonder you're going to fail. It's because you're in it for the wrong reason. And so that's why anyone who starts a business, like, you have to really understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. And that's going to be probably one of the first and most important steps, whether you start a hairstyling business or a lash business or a cleaning company. Like, there's going to be so many tough times. And if you aren't aligned with your vision and your path that you want to go on, you're just going to give up at any hard time where someone cancels on you or you're not making any money or you're spending more than you actually make. Like, you have to be so aligned with your vision that no matter what happens, you're going to go all in. You're going to give yourself a certain amount of time to go all in on that. And that's going to be my main topic there and my main answer for that question. And yeah, that's all I have for that one. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. I know there was a lot of motivation, a lot of fire in so many different ways. If you enjoyed this episode, which I know you did, please just share it with a friend. Anytime you share it on your social media, it means the world. It helps us grow. It helps us get out to more people on Instagram. And until the next one, we'll see you in the next episode. Peace and love.